Hey everybody, welcome to our YouTube edition of the Travel Squad podcast. I'm Jamal.
Zeina.
Brittanie.
And I'm Kim. And our regular weekly travel podcast, we feature travel stories, tips, inspiration. But since COVID-19 has shut us down, we are turning to YouTube to do something a little different for you.
We want to talk about how travel is being impacted by the coronavirus and how it can be changed in so many different ways, even after the virus settles.
So you guys are hearing it all here first. Conspiracy theories, thoughts, beliefs, all the good stuff.
We're going to be talking about it right here. So let's talk about what we do know about how Corona has already affected travel. Beyond the fact that we can't get together and record our podcast, which is why we're social distancing, Zooming, YouTubing here right now, we do know that the federal government has extended the real IDs. Now, I'm sure all of us have probably heard us talking about the real ID, saying you need this, but basically the federal government has issued a law a while back that said that there needs to be uniformity between the state issued IDs in order for you to be able to fly, like even domestically. So the deadline was supposed to be October 1st of 2020, but now they've extended that a whole nother year because of COVID, because people aren't going to the DMV. So that's one way for all of us travelers who maybe haven't gotten it yet, is we have an extra year for that.
I'm pretty excited about that one.
Well, why don't you tell the guy, I mean, you've told us before, Kim, why don't you tell everybody listening what happened to you with your real ID?
So you have to bring 2 forms of your physical residence, and they don't accept it on your phone. You can't just show it to them. You have to bring out a printed paper document like it's 1950 and hand it over to them. So, pro tip,
Oh, I didn't even know that. I don't have my real ID either, because you know what happened to me? I think this is back in 2018. My purse was stolen, so obviously my wallet being inside my purse. I had to go to the DMV to get another ID, and because it was so last minute and it was 2018, I didn't really know what the real ID was at the time, so I just went and got a new ID. And then Jamal was like, well, did you get the real ID when you went to the DMV? And I'm like, huh? So I have a new license, but I don't have real ID, and it just feels like a lot of work to have to go back.
Well, luckily for you, now you have till October of 21, because for anyone listening, if you don't have a real ID, you can't fly unless you have a passport, because that's a federally issued documentation of ID. So it just needs to meet those standards. So if you don't have a passport and don't have a real ID, you can't even get on a plane.
Not even domestically, for domestic flights, and that sucks.
Yeah.
So Jamal and I are prepared. We read the instructions on what you need, and we brought our 2 forms of physical addresses to the DMV with us. And I actually went on a Saturday, and I was in and out of the DMV within 15 minutes. Woo! Amazing.
Well, not during the COVID era, because you're not going to the DMV now. But you need lots of things. You need to prove 2 documents of your residence. You need a copy officially of your social security. You need to prove that you're an American citizen. So that either means a birth certificate, or if you don't have it, an actual passport. So you need to have like one or the other with you. So they really try to verify who you are. And that's what the real ID is. So one way COVID's changed traveling now is the extension of the real ID, which for most people is probably a good thing. Not that anyone's really traveling right now anyway, but nonetheless.
And another way that COVID has already changed travel is right now they've put a hold on processing passports and global entry. So when they do pick back up, there's probably going to be a delay in processing. And so, hopefully no one's trying to go out of country without a passport right now, because even if you applied for one, it's just going to be delayed in the process.
Who has global entry here? Raise your hand.
And I love it.
Love it. Zeina, you need to get on it. And
I know.
See, the COVID's affecting Zeina. She said she was going to get it by a certain time, and I think this was actually the time that you talked about getting it. And you can't get your global entry because you have to do in-person interviews. So
I don't
trying
think
to limit contact.
They're even allowing you to set up a visit in the future.
Yeah.
Well, because they're probably so backlogged. And I mean, if we think about it from this perspective, to get a passport, you don't even need to visit anybody realistically. I mean, if you have your photo of yourself already taken, you could just print out the documents and send it. But that's how little travel there is, and people aren't going internationally. They're not even processing passports. Like, can you believe that? Like, no passport processing. So
It might be one of the first times in history that that's ever happened.
yeah, I mean, maybe we're all stuck here. No going out. So
I don't even think that you can do international travel regardless. Not even just like people aren't traveling international, but like, is it even like, are borders even open?
I mean, some countries, sure, but they're more restrictive now than ever, for sure. But I mean, they're still flying domestically here, so I know there's few international routes. But if you can go somewhere, they're probably requiring when you land, you have to quarantine yourself for like 2 weeks. So realistically, most people aren't going unless they're going to be there long term or can take off a month, 2 months from work, because they would have to quarantine themselves when they arrive for about 2 weeks. So that's the new norm now for international. I mean, hopefully this will all bypass soon on that end. So
Yeah, no, I know planes are still taking off. Right here at my window, I have the perfect view of all the airplanes that take off. How about you, Britt? Are any airplanes flying behind you at the beach?
Yeah, I've seen a few go today. I heard some jets fly over my house when I was home last week as well.
Yeah.
well, we live, even though Brittany's at the beach and I'm in Lebanon right now, and you can tell from our backgrounds, this is where we're at virtually. But we do live
In front of the Temple of Jupiter.
Yes, but we do live close to Tijuana, and we actually are right by the Tijuana airport. We're closer to that than the San Diego airport, and I'm still seeing people leave from the Tijuana airport and planes take off all the time. So people are still traveling domestically, and by domestically, I'm talking about those flights in Mexico that I'm seeing, but you're seeing the ones in San Diego. So people are still moving, but planes aren't as full.
No.
How long do you think it's going to take before it gets filled again? I mean, like, I think back, like, just several months ago in January when we were flying back to the United States from Dubai, and we were like sardines back there. Can't even imagine being that close to people.
Oh, I know. Well, I mean, that's perfect because that's another way that we know things are changing. The demand is so low and people are canceling. And since they're actually canceling, airlines are being really, really good about extending their rewards, rebooking fees are being waived, extending credits. So, you know, when the gas crisis really hit a while back, and that's when airlines started to charge for checked luggage because they needed to make up money that way. And even though gas has gone down over time, it's one of those fees that they kept. And I'm hoping to see here maybe these generous rebooking waivers and things that they're doing will extend past this, hopefully. I mean, who knows, but I'm hoping that's one of the things that will continue on.
What do you think?
Quote from one of his name is Rafat Ali. He's one of the head guys at Skift, which is a travel news publication. And his quote said, "It's going to take so long for the demand to even come close to what it was." And that's like such a powerful thing for someone who knows so much about the travel industry to say, is that the travel and the airlines and the hospitality companies have to do something to try to encourage demand, because demand is going to be so low. Even when permissions are reinstated, the fear that people have is still going to be there.
Yeah, you know, I hadn't seen that quote, but I saw another article that was talking about how it took 8 or 9 years after 9/11 for the travel demand to get as high as it was like the couple months before 9/11. So just imagine with this too, and the scare of people not wanting to travel because they're afraid of getting infected. I mean, who knows how long it will take? Not to say that it's going to be like one quick jump and overnight. I mean, it's going to be steady, but in terms of that solid demand of what we were seeing in the aviation and travel industry, I mean, the last big event, I mean, it took 8-9 years to just get back to normal.
So what do you think about ticket prices though? Eventually, like, they're flying, they're paying for all this gas, and like they're not filled. What do you guys think is going to happen?
I don't know. It can either go two ways. It can either go the way that flights stay cheap to encourage people to start to travel again, or they skyrocket up because no one's traveling and they need to just make ends meet.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how cheap first class is right now.
That's something to look at.
If you have to.
Yeah.
something to look into. But I don't know. I see it as either airlines are going to go under, not all of them, some, but
We did see that after 9/11 also.
yeah, and a lot of mergers between airlines and things like that. But a tried and true model is the budget airline. And I'm not talking necessarily Spirit, but Southwest. Southwest has always been cheap. They've never had cancellation fees. If you had to cancel on their lowest fare, you at least had that money to book another flight with. It's not like you lost it. They didn't charge you a rebooking fee. So those are the airlines that's already part of their business model, where they're well positioned to kind of take over. So the other larger airlines that aren't the budget ones, like a United or an American or other type of domestic airlines like that, they're either going to have to adapt, or Southwest is going to take that share. But I do think that they're going to remain relatively cheap, because even if the economy starts moving again, I think it's going to take a while for such a demand of oil to reach its level. So I still think fuel will be relatively cheap. So I think the flights are going to be cheap to encourage people, and because of that as well.
I'm really loving that when Jamal and I went to Hawaii, we didn't have to pay for the change fee on our flight with United. And then also Southwest has been really good about sending out emails saying that they're extending travel funds, the expiration dates on them. So if you previously if you had to cancel a flight during this time, I think they extended it another 6 months at least.
Yeah, they
at a minimum.
give Rapid Rewards points to their members. Free
That's
points.
amazing.
Yeah.
Why do you guys?
I was going to say, Brittany and I have already had to cancel so many flights and trips and things that we were going to do. The one she's talking about when we went to Hawaii, and we mentioned this on our inaugural YouTube, is we were supposed to go to Hong Kong, but our flight got canceled, and obviously that was one of the hot spots, so we couldn't do that. So our airline was really good then of saying, okay, you can't go there. Where else do you want to go? But that's really before it really took off in the United States. So we've had to cancel that. We've had to cancel a trip that's coming up this weekend. Brittany and I were going to go to Yosemite. Another one to Sedona we canceled. Easter. All those flights were on Southwest. And normally, under normal circumstances, they give you a year to use that money that you paid as a credit. But like Brittany said, they've extended that, I think, up until 2022. So really, really long time. So that's good. And that's,
I think 2021.
2021. Wow. Okay.
September 2021.
It's a long time.
And how smart is Southwest? Because I mean, think of I know Southwest's budget, but think of all the money that they're keeping in their pockets because of that flexibility. Because you guys are going to use it eventually.
We're going to use it eventually. They didn't have to refund us fully. It's not going back to our account. It's just there for us to use at a later date.
The other thing is people are so scared to purchase travel because they don't know if it's actually going to happen. Even if it's 3 months down the road, people are still apprehensive about booking anything. So when you're booking with Southwest and you have that, fallback that you can get that credit back, you're not going to lose money, then it gives you the confidence to book, which is great.
Yeah.
And not every airline's doing that.
I know some states too, they have their own rules right now. I know Texas, if you fly into Texas right now, you have to self-quarantine for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone had an upcoming flight to Texas, they might not want to go through with it, because who has time to self-quarantine for 2 weeks before you turn back around?
Yeah.
Unless you're staying there long term,
Yeah, so each state's different, but in terms of those extra flexibility and people not wanting to book because they don't know what's going to happen, a month, 2 months, 3 months down the line, we're talking about airlines. But one thing that I've really noticed too, because we're always trying to plan for the future, and believe me, we're itching to take that next trip and excited about it. And so when we're looking at stuff preliminarily on Expedia right now for the hotels, because I usually book airlines direct, not necessarily through Expedia, but hotels always through Expedia. And
You book through Expedia?
well, you do the booking.
I do all the booking.
She does the booking.
That's me.
Whatever. No, but
Is there a surfer?
point being, we do the hotel booking through Expedia. And I've noticed as of late, so many more hotels are offering free cancellation up until a day or 2 days before, at either no charge or $1 or $2 extra, where in the past they either didn't offer free cancellation at all, or they charged maybe $30-$40 more for the option to cancel. And now it's either included automatically or like $1 or $2.
But do they have free breakfast?
We don't know. That's actually a really good point.
My God, you guys, the breakfast buffet could go away.
So
What?
Brittany and I, because she wanted to take credit, so I'm going to say Brittany and I
No, it was
yesterday were
me.
looking at Expedia for a potential backup plan for next trip that we were going to take. And we were looking at the hotels. We're like, well, do they include breakfast buffets? And some of them still said they did, but they didn't really have any updates like, okay, well, is it really going to be open or just in general? But we saw one hotel that said no longer breakfast buffet, but we are social distancing and providing individually wrapped breakfasts. So they specified. So all the other ones now that are still saying, oh, breakfast buffet, I don't know. What are they doing?
One other thing too, Expedia never used to send me emails saying like, are you going to cancel this trip? If you are, you have this much time to cancel. And now they're sending out so many emails saying like, are you still taking this trip? Don't forget to cancel by this date if you aren't going to take it. So that's new. And then also, guys, squad tip. If you have any upcoming trips, go look at the hotels and see if they're any cheaper, because I just saved us a ton of money rebooking all of our hotels and rental cars.
Oh, whose idea was that?
Mine.
No, that was mine. It was mine.
I just want to throw out real quickly though, like we are showing all our love to Southwest. We are not sponsored by Southwest, but we are not opposed to Southwest sponsoring us. So if you do want to, Southwest, we are here for you.
I love
the
Southwest.
way that you are here for us.
You're now free to move about the country. That's their old slogan. I don't know if they still have that. Any other thoughts, ladies, on like what we know now and how travel is changing before we get on to like what we think is going to happen?
Yeah,
I mean, my mind is still blown the fact that Kim suggested that they're going to take away breakfast buffets, because I think she's right. Didn't even think about it.
True. There's very little that we know for sure right now, but there are so many questions about what could happen and how travel could change. And we're starting to see little things here and there that make us feel like we could kind of predict the future and like imagine what our new normal of travel is going to be like. So we have tons of thoughts on this. I'm wondering, once the vaccine comes out, is the world going to require the vaccine in order for you to get on that plane?
Yeah, you might have to show proof of having the vaccine before you can actually travel.
It's like when we went to Africa, there's certain countries where if you're going to go to, they require you to have proof of vaccination for like yellow fever or something like that. But that's to go into that country because they, have it and don't want you to catch it there and then transmit it when you leave out. But something that doesn't stay regional like coronavirus, I mean, it sounds Orwellian, and I hope this doesn't necessarily happen. But yeah, okay, maybe not domestically. I mean, it could, but definitely I could see internationally. Oh, you want to go to a country? You need to show me that you have proof of vaccination. And then it leads even to a stickier topic. Will one country be like, no, the vaccine that we like is from this manufacturer and pharmaceutical company versus this one? So it's like, is there going to be a standard uniformity on what they consider? Is it just going to be vaccine in general? I mean, who knows? And I mean, I very easily could see that happening.
Another question we
know. I mean, I can see the vaccination. Sorry, Britt. I can see the vaccinations, but in terms of like a certain pharmaceutical maker, you think?
I mean, I don't know.
It's a possibility.
That's hardcore.
Yes.
Another good question is, how will the COVID virus impact foreigners coming into the United States or us going to other countries? Are some countries going to require, if you don't have the vaccine, like a rapid COVID test at the airport, and just everyone gets tested upon arrival? How would that work?
I mean, right now, so many countries have, even our own country, the US, has different regulations right now banning certain regions from coming in. That happened right when it started kicking off, and some other countries have their borders completely closed to foreigners. Will that last forever? Probably not, but yeah, you're right. Like, we really just don't know what they can require for you to come into the country or to the US.
Exactly. It goes both ways, right?
And then, go ahead, Kim, sorry.
Oh, I didn't want to cut you off, but we do know though that they are going to require masks on planes. They're already doing that. JetBlue, United, some whole airports are saying any flights coming in and out, you have to have a mask on. So,
I did read an email saying that if you don't have a mask, some of the airline providers will provide you with one. But is this just going to extend to the airport where it's all flights, all boarding areas? Will it also be at big tourist hotspots? Can you imagine in the future if you're going to a concert or event and they will require everyone to wear a mask at that group event?
I feel like that'd be really hard to like enforce that. Like if you have a concert of thousands and thousands of people, like.
I know, right?
But it could be the new trend where like your mask is now your new accessory and everyone's complimenting your mask saying, oh my God, that mask really brings out the color in your eyes.
It's so sleek. It's so stylish. It fits your face so smooth.
I do agree though that face masks, they are the next big fashion accessory for probably like the next 2 years. Spanish flu took 2 years until it finally like mutated until a less dangerous strain and everyone developed herd immunity. So I do think that the masks are here to stay.
Oh, I definitely think so too. And that makes me wonder, it's like, you know, they're talking about the Disney parks opening up, and not necessarily just Disney, any amusement park. Are they going to require you to have a mask to go in? Are you going to have to wear those on hot days? So these are still things that we have to see, but I'm interested to see how it plays out. But I'll tell you what, though, if I have to wear a mask to travel, I'm going to do it. You know, I'll tell you that, because I'm ready to just get out there.
Mm-hmm.
So interesting.
So ready to travel. I am just itching to travel for our next trip, and I cannot wait to go.
Yeah.
If they even require me to wear a mask at the national park, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Gotta do. So one good thing about the potential of what could happen with planes and masks and all of that is I've heard some rumors about the middle seat going away to encourage social distancing, which I am all here for.
Yeah, so I received an email, and again, only talking about Southwest because I love Southwest, and I subscribe to I'm a Rapid Rewards member, so I get their notifications and updates. But it was at least saying, I think until the end of June, they're changing their whole boarding process of how they're doing it, and they're not allowing people to sit in middle seats. So they're, not that there's even the demand to sell out a plane right now, but if there was, they're only booking so many tickets per plane just to make sure that no middle seat is taken to space people out. They said the exception was going to be if you're traveling with people that you actually know, they're not going to make you split up. And if you want to sit 3, you can.
Yeah,
but
like if it's a family.
Strangers, you know, they're not going to have people sitting in middle seats. So as of now, they said till the end of June. Who knows if they're going to extend that? Who knows if other airlines are going to do that? So
yeah, it's so funny. I think they're taking it more and more seriously as time goes on. But my coworker flew to Washington from San Diego over Easter, and there was maybe 10 people on the whole flight, and they put them all in the front. She was on the aisle, and there was someone on the aisle right across from her. And this was like in April, in the thick of quarantine.
I don't know why they would put them all together, because even when there's so few people on the plane, you have to spread out to disperse the weight evenly. So why would they even put them all in one spot? I don't know. But I've even seen mock prototypes of airplane seats where they don't get rid of the middle one per se, but the window and aisle are facing forward and the middle seat is facing backwards. And they have dividers on each side of the face so that you have your own little bubble. And so the person who's in the middle facing backwards, they would share the same aisle as the people sitting in the row behind them, but they face forward. So that's how they would enter. But it was like a prototype that I saw of how they were thinking about doing economy seats now.
It definitely makes you wonder if that's going to make ticket prices increase, if they have to change the seatings, and if they do have to reduce capacity, they have to make up that cost somehow. So that's a little.
That's true. And I could see in time it increasing, but I think from the get-go, to just encourage people to finally start flying again, I think we're at a good level where flights are going to be relatively inexpensive, I would imagine, though.
I hope so. It might be a good time for us to go to Hong Kong soon, Jamal.
Yeah, we still need to
knock
get,
it out.
yeah, that's very true. That's very true. I need to get to Hong Kong Disney, last Disney park, and that trip got upended by Corona.
I think the reason it was canceled, I think the whole coronavirus thing can be blamed on the fact that you guys didn't invite me and Zeina on this trip.
Oh.
That's the only explanation I can come up with.
That's the explanation. All right. Well, then I guess you could blame us, but I don't think so.
You don't want another global pandemic. So next time.
All right. Well, if you want to come to Hong Kong, then you can come to Hong Kong Disney. I promise
Thank
you.
you up on that invitation. You've heard it here first, guys. They invited us. Okay. So if you guys see them on the podcast, Instagram without us.
Well, you're welcome to come, but it's on our schedule. So if you can't make our schedule, we're not switching it around for you guys.
Well, just want to let you know, Kim and I have a different schedule. So if you can't make it on ours, we might beat you there first.
Whatever. We wanted to travel alone anyway. You guys just invited yourself, and I'm trying to be polite. So, you know. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
So I am wondering about, you know, anytime you were on a plane before and you heard people coughing and sick, it was already kind of alarming where you're like, whoa, like, but now if somebody's sick on a plane, I feel like it's going to be, I don't know, like even just hearing someone cough on the street.
You're like,
and what's funny is people
hold
who
your
are
breath,
coughing or sneezing or something right now. I mean, it's allergy season, you know, so we don't know what they have. And it's just like, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I hear somebody cough, I turn around, you know, I try not to give a dirty look. But, yeah, but when Brittanie and I were on our flight in early March, again, like right before really things took off here in the United States and right before California put the shutdown over here, obviously it was on the forefront of my mind. And I'm telling you, every time somebody coughed on a plane, I thought the worst, or was coughing on the plane, I should say. I thought the worst.
Jamal gets like super paranoid and anxious. He's like, who's coughing right now? Why are they coughing? Do they not understand? Like, it's coronavirus. And he's like, who is it? And he just like looks around everywhere all angrily.
I can see Jamal doing that.
A little over dramatic there.
And his anxiety goes up quite a bit, and then he gets really stressed out and he doesn't want to talk to me because if I talk to him, it's going to make him more anxious.
I get it, Jamal. I get it.
Anxiety's real. If you don't have it, you don't know. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And right now, I'm actually feeling a lot of anxiety because I had a smoothie before we recorded, and the coldness, you know, like in your chest versus like hot tea or coffee. And so I don't know, like I'm trying to like convince myself right now that I'm okay. So I feel you, Jamal. But you know what? The new saying is, I'm tired of all these motherfucking coughers on the motherfucking plane.
This is very true. I got it, Zeina. Snakes on a plane.
Like no one's laughing, but I think it's hilarious. And then you started to laugh, and I'm like, thanks, Jamal.
I got it.
But I mean, so
Brittanie, you don't know that quote? Sorry, Kim. Brittanie, tell me you know that quote.
I don't know any quote.
It's from
ever.
Snakes on a Plane.
Kim and I don't know any quotes at all.
Because you guys aren't movie and Hollywood culture like Zeina and I. But anyway,
let's get back to this podcast.
Yes.
Okay, so back to coughing on a plane. I feel like if they're making you wear masks, and we've already started to hear about some airlines even testing people in the airport. What do you think about like requiring the COVID test before you even get on the plane? They have the
I mean, they could do that. And that way, like if you already have that test, you can take it with you wherever you go, and maybe you won't have to self-quarantine wherever, whether it be domestically or internationally. You have the proof that you had this rapid COVID test already done and it's negative.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good temporary preventative measure just to catch something. I mean, realistically, somebody could have it and not have the temperature yet. So I think the test would be the best thing. But if that's really what has to be done, I mean, I could see it being done until there's like a vaccine, even if there is a vaccine. I mean, they may never be able to create one or find one. So regardless of even if COVID dies down, I think that's something that probably airlines and anything in travel is going to keep continuing on potentially doing. So.
But if they're not doing the rapid COVID tests, so right now, I mean, I know they're doing larger boarding areas or possibly doing larger boarding areas to accommodate social distancing and having possible new boarding procedures. But if they do the rapid COVID tests and everyone that comes in and boards that plane is COVID negative, will they still have to do that? Will it be airport specific? Because if everyone going in has already been tested, are they going to have to social distance at that point still?
That sucks. What if one of us is like positive and we're like headed back to San Diego or leaving for a trip? What do you do for people who are trying to head home?
You're hospitalized where you're at, I guess.
Even if you're asymptomatic?
You probably have to quarantine wherever you're at until you can't spread the virus anymore.
But
or rent a motherfucking car.
Yeah, but one thing I want to say that this is very important because I love free stuff. I love my free drink on a plane because that's usually what we get. If we're going to have to wear masks on a plane, are they even going to have beverage services? Because at what point do they say, oh, okay, you could take off the mask? And if they're doing beverage service, it's all at the same time. So then everybody's taking the mask off at the same time. So it still remains to be seen. Are they even going to be serving like beverages anymore?
You like slip a straw underneath it?
I don't know if you can.
I read already that some flights have canceled in-flight service, or they've changed it to where they don't serve you food like they would on a tray. It's like a fully wrapped up bento box, but that still doesn't answer the question of removing your mask to eat it.
Right.
Yeah, maybe they say like, okay, everyone in aisle A, you can eat for this amount of time.
You're like,
everyone in aisle C, now it's your turn.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe at that point, everyone's on the plane be like, you know what? If somebody has it here, we all got it, so let's just take it. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, I'm curious to see how they change their complimentary service.
Another
talking about complimentary stuff. What about their blankets?
The blankets, yes.
Are they going to be like deep cleaned? Can you just take them home with you afterwards? What's going to be the deal with the new blanket?
Well, we've always had the question. We don't know if they just rewrap them from the previous flight or if they're washed, but now we're going to know for sure if they're giving them out. They're probably
reusing them.
Clean.
I actually got an email from Southwest this week outlining their new sanitary way to sanitize the plane between every single flight. They really went into detail on it. So I think they're going to be taking cleanliness and sanitizing pretty seriously and not reusing the blankets.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing.
You're going to be take the blanket off the plane with you.
I hope they give us those little towelettes too, even on the budget airlines, like warm towelettes.
They should give warm towelettes and a cleaning wipe so everyone can just feel good about cleaning and wiping down their own space, their tray table, their armrest.
We've been recommending that for a long time. That's been a travel squad tip, is bring your Clorox wipes and clean your tray, your seat, the buttons, everything around you. But now even more important.
We were ahead of the COVID curve because that was recommendations from us, squad tips all day, every day. And now it's a reality.
But beyond us bringing them, they should provide them to every single person so they feel comfortable to sit down and touch everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, we're probably not going to have, though. We're not going to have any magazines in the back of the seat. People touching that stuff, they're probably going to be getting rid of that.
Yeah.
I heard that that's already the dirtiest place. And then like what really grossed me out as I was reading that article was like, they were like, you'd be surprised at how many people put their dirty diapers for their kids in there. Yeah.
Anyone who's ever caught doing that should be barred from flying, period. I just want to throw that out there. Not only are you a shitty travel person, you are a shitty human being, quite literally and figuratively, if you leave a diaper back there.
That's fucking savage.
Yes.
Throw it away.
Yes.
Throw it away.
But beyond the airline magazines, are you even going to be allowed to bring your own carry-on onto the plane?
Yeah.
And store it in the bins above? Because everyone's touching the same compartments trying to store their luggage. So are you even going to be allowed to bring a carry-on? And if you're not allowed to bring a carry-on, are you going to have complimentary luggage? Are they going to give that to you for free? Or are you going to have to pay for your luggage?
I mean, this all remains to be seen. So, I mean, I'm hoping not. I feel like there's going to be cuts on cost in certain places and increases elsewhere. So hopefully they all balance it out, regardless of what they do, to keep those flights cheap for my sake, because I want to fly. All right. Any final thoughts, ladies, real quick, on what we think that we didn't touch upon that we think might change?
No, I mean, there's good things that could come. There's some inconvenient things that could come, but only time will tell.
Yeah, just be safe out there, guys.
Yeah, everyone needs to be safe. I mean, the one other question I had, will travel insurance rise in cost? And will they put like exclusions like pandemics or epidemics in their clause so that if you buy the insurance, it might not cover if you're going through a pandemic or epidemic?
Well, I don't know about the medical side, and that's my area of expertise for my day job, which is, insurance. But I know at least my insurance that I have for trip cancellation through my credit card, it excluded pandemic when I tried to get my refund on my Hong Kong hotel when it was still early on. So it's already there, but maybe on the travel medical.
All right. Well, that's everything we have for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in on Travel Tuesday.
And make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the button right below, and you can get all of our new episodes and travel videos we have coming out soon.
And don't forget to check out the podcast. We have 40 episodes that are up and live already. So plenty of content to inspire you guys for your next vacation after all this COVID madness is over with.
That's right. We've taken you guys to the Great Wall of China. We've trekked the Inca Trail. We've partied in a nightclub in Cuba. Like, we have been everywhere. So go entertain yourselves and get inspired.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.